Fractal geometries, those endlessly repeating patterns found in coastlines, clouds, trees, and even your lungs, are not just visually captivating, they are deeply embedded in the architecture of the universe. But why do fractals emerge so frequently in nature, biology, and even cosmology? Is this just coincidence, or does it reflect a deeper principle? Perhaps even a self-reinforcing feedback loop mechanism that governs pattern formation. Let us begin with the basics. A fractal is a structure that looks similar at different levels of magnification. This is called self-similarity. Mathematically, fractals are generated by recursive rules where an output becomes the next input. In nature, however, this recursion is often driven by physical processes like growth, erosion, or energy flow across scales. Take a moment to consider your own body. The human lung is a textbook example of a biological fractal. It branches out into smaller and smaller tubes, bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli, allowing an enormous surface area to fit within a compact volume. Without this fractal branching, you would not be able to absorb enough oxygen to survive. Similarly, blood vessels, neurons, and plant roots follow fractal designs to maximize exchange, connectivity, and efficiency. So, why do these systems choose fractals? The answer lies in optimization and feedback. When biological systems grow under constraints, such as limited energy or space, they evolve structures that balance efficiency and adaptability. Fractals are one of the few geometries that can scale easily without requiring different instructions at each level. Ask yourself this: how do trees decide where to branch? Or how does a lightning bolt choose its jagged path? And the answer is feedback loops. In a tree, the growth hormone auxin flows through the vascular system. Branches that get more light and nutrients receive more auxin, which in turn promotes further branching, an iterative feedback process. In lightning, electrical potential creates a path of least resistance, which then alters the field and guides further branching. In both cases, the system responds to itself, reinforcing local changes across the whole pattern. Could this be a universal principle? Yes, fractal formation often emerges from nonlinear feedback processes in systems far from equilibrium. This includes diffusion, limited aggregation, e.g., mineral growth, turbulence in fluids, energy dissipation pathways in earthquakes and galaxy clustering. These are all governed by recursive feedback rules where the state of the system determines its future development. Importantly, these feedbacks often lead to criticality, a state between order and chaos where fractals thrive. Even at the cosmic scale, fractal-like structures appear in the distribution of galaxies and dark matter. The cosmic web of filaments, nodes, and voids resembles branching neural networks or fungal mycelium. Some astrophysicists argue that this is not just visual analogy. Gravitational feedback, matter attracting more matter, leads to fractal clustering over time. Let's pause here and ask, could the universe be fractal not just in structure but in process? In other words, does the universe evolve by recursive, feedback-driven rules that operate across scales? Some physicists and complexity theorists believe so. In fact, researchers like Stephen Wolfram and Nassim Haramein have proposed models where space-time itself may emerge from fractal informational processes. Does this mean fractals are a fundamental code of nature? Possibly. They are certainly one of the most energy-efficient, space-filling, and self-organizing geometries available. They allow living systems to adapt dynamically and physical systems to dissipate energy optimally. This is why we see the same patterns in river networks, bronchiotrees, snowflakes, mountain ranges, and even brain waves. So next time you see a fern or Romanesco broccoli, remember, you are looking at nature's solution to a very old problem: how to grow, evolve, and survive using the least effort while maximizing adaptability. Fractals are not just beautiful, they are functional blueprints, etched into life, Earth, and stars by the universal logic of feedback and emergence. Would you like a visualization of biological fractals compared to cosmic structures, or a breakdown of key feedback equations that produce fractals in simulations? Fractals are geometric structures that exhibit self-similarity, meaning their pattern looks similar regardless of the scale at which they are observed. This property arises when a system develops through recursive or iterative rules that are applied at multiple levels. In natural systems, such iterative processes occur in conditions where energy and resources are distributed repeatedly over time or space. Mathematically, fractals are described using nonlinear dynamical equations and can have non-integral dimensions. Because such recursion is common in natural growth and diffusion processes, fractal geometry naturally emerges. Fern leaves grow through repeated splitting and subdivision, forming a self-similar fractal pattern. Like zooming into a coastline where each smaller section still resembles the whole, nature reuses patterns at multiple scales. Fractal patterns often minimize the energy or material needed to perform a function across multiple scales. In biology, this manifests in vascular systems, roots, lungs, and neurons, where space-filling structures must reach every part of an organism efficiently. The branching patterns reduce flow resistance and maximize exchange surfaces without requiring exponentially more material. Evolution favors such geometries because they balance maximal reach with minimal cost. This optimization principle holds across vastly different systems, from galaxies to microbial colonies. Human lungs form a fractal branching pattern to ensure oxygen is delivered efficiently to billions of alveoli. Like laying a road network to reach every house with the shortest total distance, biology builds branching trees to connect all cells with minimal energy. Fractal structures often emerge in systems governed by positive feedback loops and nonlinear equations. For example, diffusion limited aggregation, DLA, creates fractal patterns as particles stick to growing clusters and the pattern reinforces itself. In plants, hormonal gradients and mechanical stress feed back into branching angles and growth direction, reinforcing fractal morphology. Chaos theory and bifurcation analysis show how stable fractal attractors can emerge from simple iterative feedback systems. These mechanisms are embedded in the fundamental rules of physical and biological processes. River networks form fractal-like dendritic patterns due to feedback between erosion, water flow, and sediment deposition. Like pouring ink into water and watching branching tendrils grow, each movement affects the next in a feedback-driven loop. Fractal systems provide redundancy, scalability, and robustness in biological networks. If part of a fractal structure is damaged, other branches can compensate or reroute function, essential for survival under stress. Additionally, fractal systems are modular, making it easy to grow or reorganize in response to environmental cues. Fractal geometries are also effective at distributing mechanical stresses and signals over long distances. These features give organisms with fractal structures an evolutionary advantage. The human brain's dendritic trees allow signal processing across varying scales and can rewire after injury. Like a tree that grows new branches after a storm, fractal structures can self-repair and keep functioning even when disrupted. At larger scales, galaxy distributions, cosmic filaments, and dark matter webs exhibit fractal-like spatial organization. These structures emerge from gravitational dynamics and primordial density fluctuations governed by recursive clustering. Similarly, in physics, turbulence and phase transitions can form fractal-like interfaces and percolation networks. The universality of fractals hints at deep mathematical laws underlying how complexity arises from simple starting conditions. The boundary between chaos and order is often where fractals thrive. The Sloan Digital Sky Survey shows that galaxies form a sponge-like cosmic web with fractal clustering, like cracks spreading in drying mud. The universe organizes matter into repeating branching structures at multiple scales. Biological and natural systems do not plan to make fractals. Instead, local rules and interactions yield global patterns. For example, in plants, cell division and hormone transport obey rules that result in overall fractal branching. In fluids, particle diffusion and local aggregation create dendritic crystals. The emergent fractal patterns are therefore bottom-up phenomena driven by physics and chemistry. This computational parsimony, complexity from simplicity, makes fractals universally accessible. Snowflakes form intricate fractal patterns from molecular water interactions with temperature and pressure gradients, like ants following simple rules but building complex nests. Nature's fractals arise from local rules repeated many times. In networks, fractal geometries support fast signal propagation, low loss transmission, and scalable storage of information. This is critical in brains where neurons form fractal axonal trees to reach many targets with minimal wiring. Fractal connectivity enhances computational capacity by enabling interactions across multiple spatial scales. In plants and fungi, Information about environmental gradients is stored and processed across branching structures. Fractals support both distributed sensing and collective behavior. Mycelial networks in fungi form fractal webs to efficiently sense and respond to nutrients or threats. Like a fractal antenna, it captures signals from different directions and frequencies. Fractal networks in biology process information efficiently across scales. Many natural systems evolve toward a state of self-organized criticality, SOC, where small inputs can lead to cascading, scale-invariant events. SOC systems, such as earthquakes, avalanches, and neural firing, naturally form fractal-like event distributions. These systems exhibit power law behavior, a hallmark of fractal scaling, and are often poised near the edge of stability. The criticality ensures responsiveness and adaptability without centralized control. Fractals thus emerge as spatial traces of this temporal critical behavior. Brain activity measured via EEG follows a power law distribution consistent with SOC and fractal dynamics. Like a pile of sand where adding a grain can cause an avalanche of any size, critical systems show fractal outcomes from simple causes. Models like the Mandelbrot-SAT-L systems and Perlin noise can generate fractals that mirror natural forms from ferns to galaxies. These mathematical models abstract the recursive and feedback-driven growth that governs real systems. Moreover, the mathematics of fractals, e.e. Hausdorff dimension, box counting methods is used in analyzing and quantifying biological forms, landscape structures, and cosmological surveys. This modeling power shows that fractals are not arbitrary, but arise from deep mathematical symmetry and iteration. Their recurrence across biology, geology, physics, and astronomy confirms their universality. Computational models of blood vessels using fractal growth algorithms can recreate real human vascular trees. Like using a single rule to generate infinite patterns, fractal models reveal how nature repeats beauty with mathematical precision.